Let's go.
Hello and welcome. We are the Juiceworms. I am whoever I am, and that over there is whoever that is.
Yeah, we'll be
And
whoever you want us to be if you pay us.
not particularly untrue. And today we're going to be talking about sad movies, sad songs, and
Oh,
basically sadness.
all
Um,
right, all right.
so appropriately, Nate is going to start us off. He's
About the,
a
I
very
don't get.
sad person.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I don't get sad often, but that does that make me a sad person? Like, is my life just sad then? I feel like because I don't experience heartache enough, does it mean I'm not living?
Okay, I think about stuff like that too. I honestly think I'm really good at like emotional regulation, and I'm sure everyone thinks that they're good at it. So I'm just gonna put that out there that I'm self-proclaimed good at emotional regulation.
So emotional regulation.
But yeah, I think about that too sometimes. I'm just like, does that mean I'm not actually living my life to the fullest? I think about like I'm not jealous of it, but like I think of my friends who are like always like dating, like always constantly having boyfriends. Okay, now it sounds like a criticism, but those people. And then I'm
Yeah.
and I like sometimes I'm just like I don't understand it, but I'm like, am I missing out? Am I missing out by not expressing my emotions the way that they do, like feeling my sadness as deeply as they do? But then on another hand, I'm just like, no, I don't think so, because I don't think I need to be sad to be living life.
No, I
But
agree.
yeah.
I agree. Because at the end of the day, it's like, do I actually want their life? And then you come up with the conclusion that you don't.
Yeah, which is why we don't have like, I mean, it doesn't matter if you want that life anyway, because it's not like there's certain things I think like, you work for and then you get, but it's like experiencing sadness is not one of those things. That's kind of just like,
Yeah, I don't know how it's like to, and this isn't, I don't know, like maybe I'm just losing my train of thought because my mind's thinking like, what if I say the wrong thing? But we're just gonna ignore that. Uh, like this isn't because if you wake up in the morning you actually have a problem mentally. It's just that idea that people have this,
yeah,
like
like
the
we're not
desire
talking
to
about
want
clinical
to.
depression here. Like we're not talking
Yeah,
about
like
depression or anxiety. We're just talking about
it's the
sadness.
people who tweet things like, "Oh, I woke up sad today and I love being sad." Like those, I don't understand
Yeah.
the fixation to it.
Yeah.
Like, what? And like, oh, I have a playlist called "Things I Cry About." I'm like, but why do you
I actually
induce
have a
it?
playlist that's called it's called For When You Don't Feel Anything But It's Okay. So like my friends are like, when I'm depressed and I want to cry for the rest of my life, but mine is like I mean like
I mean, by the way, I just want to say that I kind of did lie. I do have a playlist. It's called "Lo-Fi Songs to Cry to Sleep To." So
you also have like the sad songs to twerk to, so I like
I
I could
do
see I
also.
see I
So
see
maybe
like the
there's
trip.
a yeah. I've been listening to a lot of lo-fi a lot, so there's that going
I
on.
have a couple playlists I could send you if you want, if
Go
you
for
use
it.
Spotify.
It's nice to I use it a lot when I'm trying to interview people. It's nice to have a background that's
Mhm.
lo-fi. Get
I
yourself in the
usually
mood.
put lo-fi on when I'm gaming and stuff too. Well, I use it when I'm studying, whenever I need to focus on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just imagining this sad. I remember the attachment styles in psychology.
I was looking into them like literally yesterday again, or no, two
Yeah.
days ago.
So there was somebody who tweeted out about like really extreme cases of attachment styles, like dismissive, avoidant, and anxious avoidant, or yeah, anxious avoidant or avoidant anxious. And I'm going, those are they did a poll like, who are you in all of these? And I'm like, I'm neither of them. Like I'm not the secure type. I don't think,
Mm-hmm.
because secure people, it sounds like an ideal type of person
Mm-hmm.
based off of the description,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also the same people we would describe as always dating and always being in a relationship.
But no, I think they're the ones who are always dating, always in a relationship, and are actually happy.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
or
I
are
know a lot of
open
people
to
who are
be
not happy.
hurt. That's the strangest thing to me. Maybe because I'm a seven, I just don't understand that.
That's
They're
fair.
willing to be
Wait, what are you? Are
hurt.
you avoidant?
I definitely am. I
Yeah.
definitely see
High
myself as
five.
a void. Ciao. To the people
Same.
out there, they're like, "Is that why you guys don't text as often?" The answer is
Yeah.
yes. Yes, that's why. Uh, I I don't get it, and maybe other people are fine with it. They're not fine with it, but I don't know. I just find it fascinating, the whole concept of attachment style, because it is one of those accepted forms of psychology out there
Yeah.
too, when it comes to
Attachment
like
styles are really
relationship and stuff.
interesting. Thinking about like your relationship with your parents, what they have, and then looking at yours, it's always like, or your
I
primary
was
caregivers
watching
or
a
whatever.
YouTube
But
video about how it all just comes back to your childhood trauma.
I mean, it's just like kind of crazy to think about because it's like literally if there were like 20 of me's and they were each raised in a different environment, we'd be completely different from each other. And just isn't that like crazy? Like it's like even if genetically we were exactly the same, just environment and like I always try to think, or I don't always try to think, but like it's interesting to think about like those like few like formative moments, let's say in your childhood, and like let's say this one event didn't happen, then you wouldn't be anything that you are today. I'm just like those kind of things are interesting to think about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I find it funny too how analyzing your childhood traumas could somehow be the pattern that plays out in your relationships. Have you heard of the saying of how you treat your parents is how you'll treat your future somebody?
Yeah, that's why they always are like, for well, just I guess me specific, like if you see a guy, you're like, how does he treat his mom? And I'm like, you better treat her with respect. What? What?
I sometimes I think about it a lot because of how, for at least from my childhood, my parents and I don't usually get on the same page mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And so if people were to see that side of me, they might assume that I have zero respect. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
like,
But it's
no, I
not.
actually do
Yeah,
love
it's
my
not like
mom.
that.
It's
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
crazy to.
Yeah.
It's just that I happen to have really bad abilities to explain myself, so I kind of overdo it.
That's a
Work.
struggle.
By the way, I don't know if you hear the seagulls. I don't even live near the beach. I got seagulls outside.
I see you. Your chair's right now outside the beach. Literally, you're on the way. You're surfing the waves
I'm
right now.
surfing. This is what a wave's gonna supposed to look like. Were you like a morning dewdrop situation?
Yeah, I'm a morning dewdrop.
Ah.
I
So,
dissipate as the
anyways,
sun comes up. And you will
that or you
not
just
see me ever again
that or you
till
just
the
wet
next
every
morning.
morning. Is just the
Or
other
that.
alternative,
That is the alternative.
which is
Yeah.
well, there's not.
I don't really watch a lot of sad movies. I think like the sad movies I quote unquote watch, they always have like a resolution. They're not just sad. You know what I mean? Like the ones that like I think I cry easily in movies when I'm alone
Yeah.
because I don't really care. But like let's say I cry in a movie, like it's not like it's sad all the way through. It's like for example, like if I'm watching Frozen 2 and then spoiler, someone dies. I'm not even gonna say who, I guess. Someone dies or we think someone dies, and then maybe I'll
Yeah.
like cry, but like I like it's not a sad movie, it's just
How
there's
do
sad
you
moments.
process the sadness? Like, how does it come about? Like,
In
can you
general
actually track that?
or in movies in general.
Let's say in movies. First of all, let's start with movies because I actually have something about it too that's weird.
In movies, I cry when something's really wholesome, like really wholesome. I can cry when something's really happy, like or I think that's more in person, I guess. When someone tells me it's really good news, I get so happy and I cry,
Because I remember
which
back
is not
when you were talking about
sadness,
the
but
crying thing,
mhm.
you remember we made a crying episode, and you mentioned crying was only when you can't do anything else. Like, you have
Yeah.
no other option. You've
Yeah,
exhausted
that's for like
everything.
frustration though. But yeah, that's like when I'm talking to someone and they won't will not listen, or I'm holding back so hard, from destroying
Um,
them. I
yeah.
just cry because I'm frustrated.
I I would say in movies that kind of applies to me, the principle, because I cried at The Fault in Our Stars.
I never watched. Okay, I read it.
I cried at the in the movies not because I cared so much about the acting. I actually cared little about what was like them like their chemistry. I cared nothing for. I cared more so about the fact that she's dying and this is how she chose to live her life.
This is what you choose to do in your last moments, you
Not that.
fool.
Maybe that was misinterpreted. I meant that in a beautiful FI way, but I guess that's
Oh,
just not how it's gonna turn
oh,
out.
wait, say it again then. Say it again. Let me see if I can get another perspective. I want to hear
Because
it.
you chose to go with Ansel Elgort. Yeah, because that was how I was gonna go with. This is probably why my mom tells me I'm unapproachable. But anyways, no, I meant like she has cancer. She's going through all these problems, and they find. And the thing is her love. Oh, maybe this is a spoiler. Somebody dies, and it's
Okay,
not
this
her,
movie is old.
and so that's too bad. And I
It's
think I
like
started
ironic.
Yeah, and I think I also started crying because I'm like, oh, that's so sad that her life sucks. Oh gosh, I can't make it sound genuine and sincere. I think it comes off. It's just like I'm
No, I
so
get what you
mean.
mean. Like that kind of stuff is sad too. Like I haven't
I'm
watched
trying
it,
to
so
like
it's harder for
empathize,
me
and then they're
to.
like, "You're so cruel," and I'm like,
Yeah, I honestly think that like a lot of times I cry at like not necessarily the right moments when people would expect you to cry in a movie,
"Oh
but
yeah."
also like yeah, like the sad parts I'll probably cry. If I'm with other people, I probably won't cry, but maybe I will. Like I don't know. I don't.
Well, I find foreign movies depends on the foreign movie because Filipino movies tend to be very corny. Like they're not really
Mhm.
that heart wrenching. Maybe because it just doesn't speak to because my heart's first language is English.
Mhm.
So it doesn't attack my heartstrings than it does if people who actually speak Tagalog fluently. Because I have
Mhm.
friends who are like, it's so sad they like didn't end up together,
And you're
and
like
I'm going,
talaga.
yeah, I'm going, huh? It's like,
What?
yeah, I guess. Because the style of Filipino romances, at least in rom coms, playground, but for adults, and I don't get it. It's very social dommy, SX second or SX dom type style,
Very
and I don't
SP
really know how to
blind.
navigate it. Very SP. Oh gosh, very SP blind. Everyone's trying to not sleep enough for some
I mean,
reason.
do you find like movies that are like SP oriented?
When usually they die first.
Yeah, they're usually
Because
like the one who's like boring and then they
yeah, and then
die.
they're not the main character because who'd
Oh,
want to
full
follow that?
disclosure, I am an we're both SP DOMs, so I called them boring. I don't actually think we're boring. Blah, 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 whatever,
The
ignore
thing
my
is, people
disclaimer.
say we are, but I don't actually think I am. Right?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like people be like, "Oh, what do you spend your time on a weekend?" I'm like, "Oh, no, no, peppermint oils and sleep and good food." And then they're like, "Oh, like you don't go out and party and get drunk." And I'm like, "I don't really need to. It's just how it is. I don't really need to." But yeah, like it depends on the rom. It depends on rom com. It depends on the sad movie that hits nowadays, especially. I don't actually. There some animes hit me though, like the girl who leapt through time is a pretty sad one because it's another one of those inevitable frustration movies where you do feel sad for the person. Apparently, Your Lie in April was sad as redonkulously sad.
I watched that. You
Did
didn't
you
watch
cry
it,
in
did
that
you?
one? No, I didn't. I read the
It's a
synopsis though.
really good one. The problem with it, my biggest problem with it is that like these kids are in junior high. I don't like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of premises for a lot of movies and shows, like they just need to say they're not in high school. Just put them in college or above, you know, because some things like I'm like, I don't know, like they use actors. Okay, so this is not anime specific anymore, but you know, like they
Yeah.
use actors that are like 29, not that like, you know, and then they're like, you're 16. I'm like, they're not 16. They are grown adults. So it's just like it takes away from. But yeah, for that movie specifically, I just like I do wish that they just said it like at least high school or college. Just it just felt like I don't know. For me, maybe it's just me, I guess. But like I was just thinking like when I was in junior high, as like you know, as much as I thought I had a lot of conscious thought and like emotional
Yeah.
depth, like looking back, I could see how immature I was in junior high, right? So I just like think that it was like maybe when you're in junior high, if you watched it, you'd be like, oh my goodness, I relate. But as you get older, you'd be like, there's no way I would actually like experience it like that. I think in junior high, you know, I just
Well, the craziest thing that I keep thinking about is, do people actually do this in junior high? Like, I
uh,
cannot
I'm
relate.
like
I've
maybe I just had a different childhood.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to be like, for 5 years of high school, I never really had crushes. And the thing is we are probably the type of people who represent, I don't know if it's a minority or actually the real majority.
Who just don't really. Maybe we're
Because
just
like, do
like
people actually do that? Like, do
yeah, I don't know. Like
like
it's
when I hear people tell
possible.
stories about the romance, it's like, okay,
Yeah, it's crazy because like all of my friends have had like boyfriends or like multiple or girlfriends. You know what I mean? Like me, I'm just like I
yeah.
haven't even like I don't know. But
I don't
anyway,
get it.
yeah.
Like, do you walk around and just, oh, let's go trip? Maybe nowadays it's even harder because of COVID, but it's just funny to me to consider that. So like, what do we do? Oh, let's Zoom watch a movie together.
Like I like hanging out with my friends and like having Discord open and hanging out with them, but that's also just like a coping through quarantine sort of thing. It's not like I have to do it either, you know, but it's just like
Yeah.
nice to just sit in the server when they're there, listen to music or not, you know. It's just like
No, I agree, and I think it's, but that's the thing though with us. It's just an activity rather than for them. It's an actual relation, which is so interesting to hear,
Yeah.
like, and to observe. I'm like, I don't even think at least for my people. I mean, people being the people I went to high school with, we had maybe two people who actually were in a relationship that lasted the entire span of high school, which was in a way kind of cute because you're like, wow, stood the test of time, you're together, great. But then the flips, nobody dated anybody. Like no one's really dating, period. And it was just kind of a thing that you just saw on TV or Hollywood would just produce that people actually have romances in high school. I'm like, really? Who?
Yeah, it
Who is
doesn't seem
developing?
like
Who
a
is like?
real thing.
I don't get it. Like you have an English exam the next day. You don't got time to do this, sis. Like
Yeah, like half of you guys don't have cars.
we still had pre-cal. Like we didn't even call it pre-cal at the time. We still had like actual issues to deal with,
Yeah.
such as passing. And like, who had time to go to a diner every evening? Who has the money? I'm so confused. So yeah, that's maybe
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna end it on.
We're gonna wrap it up now. Basically, we
We ranted
are
about sadness.
yeah, we ranted about sadness, but we didn't talk too much about sadness itself. We'll probably revisit this at some point because we like talking about I don't know, we like talking about this for some reason because like it's interesting to pick each other's brains about the fact that we both seem to not really get sad. And I'm not saying we're the only ones. There are a lot of other people who probably experience it the same way as us, but it's interesting to talk about.
Well, I've been accused of overcompensating because I just don't show it, but that's I don't show what I don't have.
Yeah, which is why you
Right?
overcompensate. Perfect, you know?
Yeah. It's
Ah, just yeah. But anyway, we're gonna end
anyways.
our ep over here. So goodbye, and we'll see you on our next one.
Bye.
Bye.